There are a lot of people out there that deny that empaths are real because they have this feeling that empaths think of themselves as special. But if they really understood what it was like being an empath, they would understand that to an empath, it oftentimes feels like a curse. People don't often understand how much pain and suffering an empath goes through. Being an empath means that you take on the burdens of another human being inside of yourself emotionally. It takes over your body, your sensations, your feelings. It helps you to deeply understand what another human being is going through, what they're actually feeling and experiencing at all levels, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. We can tune in to the feelings, the true wounds that are inside of people. And there are times when we lend that compassion to people and we will sit with them and we will help them process their secrets, the things that they are so afraid to tell anybody, the things that are making them struggle with knowing what decisions to make, the things that they have suffered, the traumas that they have experienced. But sometimes when people open up and they reach those depths within themselves of those vulnerable places, those repressed emotions and feelings, those experiences that they went through that were really traumatic or that they're going through that are breaking their soul, they will unburden themselves with telling us what's happening with them. And we will be there for them. We will help them process. We will help them understand what might be happening, what they can do. And sometimes we're just there to lend an ear and a heart and show them that someone cares, just to be a friend. But there are a lot of times that after someone's opened up to an empath like this and they've poured out their soul and all of their secrets and everything they've been hiding from everyone in their life, that person will just evacuate the empath's life. They will just ghost them. They will be afraid to be around the empath again. And when we're empathic, we don't understand what we did wrong. We can sometimes internalize that and feel like, I hope that I didn't say something or do something to make this person feel judged or uncomfortable around me. That is never something that an empath wants to do. But it can be disorienting for the empath because we've literally opened our whole body and heart and soul and love up to this person, and we've shared a burden with them. But then they would disappear the minute that you would go through this processing with them and really help them and love them. And you'd be rooting for them, wanting to support them and encourage them, but also not put pressure on them. So when someone ghosts you after you've done that, for an empath, that can be really painful. And it took me many years to understand what was happening because I would hear of them having good times with other people that I knew, throwing parties and events and not getting those invites. And so you'd kind of be left feeling abandoned and rejected after you did something so loving and so giving for a person. And it would become really painful to experience that over and over and over again for years on end. And I built up trauma inside of myself because I didn't understand that this is what happens when somebody who's not comfortable with the truth, who's not comfortable with seeing everything that they've been running from and repressing and ignoring and not wanting to pay attention to, will do. It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with this beautiful gift of presence and love I had given them. It had everything to do with their inability to confront the truth and be present with the truth. In the moment, they felt so much peace and so much gratitude. But it was like once they went back to their lives, they immediately had to go back into the mode that they were living in with the mask because that was their survival tool. They only knew how to wall themselves up, put the mask back on like everything's great, and detach from the truth again. When you're an empath, you really do have an intention to develop intimate, connected relationships. To an empath, making friends is really about getting to know people, no matter what it is, the good, bad, and ugly. You want to know people for who they really are. You want to be able to be honest about who you are. You want to be able to know that you can laugh things off. You can get through things. You can have fun times. You can have sad times. You can be there for each other in all times. And so an empath craves an honest relationship, a relationship that is reciprocal, and hopes that by opening themselves up for service to this person, that one day that person will say, I really respect the way that you were there for me, and I want to be there for you too, because I'm sure that you have things that are difficult for you. But so rarely does that happen for an empath. So rarely does somebody see what we go through and suffer. They just see that we're of use, and then they want to distance themselves because they want to forget about what they've just unearthed, because they don't know if they're ready to deal with those things yet. They don't know if they're ready to be honest with themselves about that stuff yet. They don't know if they're ready to make decisions. And so there's a shame that comes out of them. And that shame causes them to shut down and move away from the empath. So it can be very lonely being an empath. You have all this love and all this capacity to have really fun, great friendships with people. But so many people are having surface level friendships. They're not in touch with their truth. They're not in touch with who they really are. They have a need to put on a mask for how people see them, and they just have a difficult time being in their authentic, imperfect human self. There are a lot of people out there that deny that empaths are real because they have this feeling that empaths think of themselves as special. But if they really understood what it was like being an empath, they would understand that to an empath, it oftentimes feels like a curse. I want to be clear, it's not a curse, it's a gift from God. It's something that's really important for us to use during our time here. But it feels like that sometimes when we're in our human experience, when we're not connected to the soul dimension of our truth. We can feel like, why am I being left behind? Why am I the one who doesn't get to have all the good times and fun times? I've invested so much. Shouldn't that come back to me? And when we lack friends and family support, and we're looking to build a life with community, it's even more painful to be rejected or to be only contacted when people just want to use you for your compassion. So if you're an empath going through this, I just want to say to you, I love you and I understand you and I'm here for you. You're not alone in this world. I know that sometimes in our human experiences, we often suffer and we feel like we're alone, but we're not alone. And all it takes for us to do is cross that bridge and reach out to those who really do want to support us and connect with us on a true and authentic and deep level. We have needs just like everybody else, to be accepted, to be invited, and to have intimacy with friendships. What helps me these days to be able to understand what's happening and not personalize it is when I sit down with someone to have an empathic conversation, I tell myself through my spirit, we're just going to offer this as a gift of service in the spiritual realm. We're not going to expect anything else to come from this. In this way, it helps me to prepare for the ghosting that always inevitably happens after someone's opened themselves up to me. So if I have gone through that practice within myself and said, we're just offering ourselves a service and we're not going to expect anything to come from it, I also have the choice to determine how long I want to offer this service. How important is what is happening to this person to my spirit? Is it something to give a lot of time to? Is it really that significant? Or is it something to give a moderate or small amount of time to? We can communicate within to make those choices so that we don't give too much of ourselves and end up hurting ourselves over the next few days because we realized we drained ourselves and gave too much, and this person has left us and hasn't even offered us any gratitude for what we've given. Through my journey, I've realized that it's really up to each and every individual on this planet to do their own work on themselves, to do their own processing. If they're lucky enough to have someone come along and care about them and love them through it, then that's a wonderful gift. But you don't have to be of service. If you really need in that moment to be of service to yourself, maybe you're nurturing your own wounds. Maybe you're having your own difficult time that's really painful and disorienting, and you're working through something. That may not be the time for you to open up to someone else and give empathy to them for what they're going through, because that's going to distract you from being able to process what you're going through and actually get to the other side. I hope this helps you understand it's not you, it's them. But you have to own a process inside of yourself to make sure what you're giving is wise, measuring when to give, how much to give, and whether or not it's in your best interest to give. It's an important tool as an empath. We have to be spiritually wise so that we don't create too much suffering inside of ourselves and have false expectations that can really hurt us in the end. If you have any experiences that relate to this, I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. And if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, please leave those in the comment section as well. I cover those videos once a week in my Asked On series. I love you all so much. Take care of yourselves and be well.